Welcome back. Using greener biofuel on ships and setting up routes among like-minded ports to reduce carbon footprint and improve air quality as well. These were among key discussions at the Singapore Maritime Week, which closes tomorrow. More than 10,000 delegates took part at the event. And for more, we have two guests today. David Libatique, he's Deputy Executive Director of Stakeholder Engagement at the Port of Los Angeles, and Francois Xavier Accard. He is Managing Director of international shipping company CMA CGM. Welcome, gentlemen. It's good to see you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here.
So, Francois, let's begin with you. You are, already engaged in efforts to accelerate decarbonizing of the maritime shipping industry. You've joined forces with Maersk. You've got deals with Nestlé as well, I understand. Mm-hmm. How soon are we going to have cleaner vessels that comply the oceans?
Well, actually, we already have cleaner fuel vessels on the sea because conventional vessels can use biofuels today. And these biofuels can reduce the CO2 emission by up to 87% of the CO2 equivalent emissions. And in fact, in 2017, our chairman, Rodolphe Saadé, took the bold decision, leading the way to order LNG ships, so liquefied natural gas ships, to decarbonize our industry. And today we have 42 of these LNG ships on the sea, which is already a first step toward decarbonization. And what we have to keep in mind is that this LNG, the fossil methane, is transitional fuel, that will allow to go further to biomethane and e-methane, synthetic methane.
So it's the LNG-powered ships right now. The Mermaid, I think, is the first of the fleet that you intend. And it's cleaner. It's not completely clean, but it's getting there because your goal is to go net zero, of course.
Exactly.
So David, let me bring you in on the conversation here. There are already many vessels, there are many voyages that are taking place between the United States and Singapore, and specifically that green shipping corridor between the two regions. Tell us more about the scale of efforts that's actually taking place now that move to decarbonize that corridor.
Of course. Don, first, thanks for inviting us to be here. We couldn't be prouder to be partnered with the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore and the Port of Long Beach in forming this green and digital shipping corridor. These are three of the most active and largest ports in the world, and so combined we account for about 7% of the world container trade. So that scale, our baseline estimates are that we're going to require 850,000 tons of methanol and 160,000 tons of ammonia per year by 2030 in order to achieve the goals set out by the International Maritime Organization's GHG reduction strategy.
It's going to take a lot of clean fuel for that.
Absolutely.
Right? And so the efforts are actually in place to ensure that happens, because you want to be able to measure the amount of emissions as well, correct? You're using a technology to achieve that. Francois, I'll bring you in on the conversation again regarding the use of technology. Digitalisation, decarbonization, they do go hand in hand,
yes,
of course. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, because digitalization is key. Very often when we talk about decarbonization, we think about fuel, cleaner fuel. But the cleanest fuel is a fuel you don't burn. And digitalization is here to help by optimizing the asset, by monitoring, reporting, verification, and doing verification. So what we can do with digitalization, using AI analytics and sensors on board, you can adjust the parameter of the vessel, make it more efficient, and also use routing of the vessel. So in CMA CGM, we have put in place Fleet Navigation Center. We have 3 in the world, in Miami, in France, and here in Singapore, which are monitoring the 620 vessels of the fleet 24/7 to ensure that they are taking the most efficient route and the safest route.
Right. It's a constant process of data gathering, isn't it, David? I mean, as far as digitalization is concerned, with this Singapore-US corridor and the ports, the Long Beach port and so on, what kind of opportunities are there going to be to actually use digital technology efficiently so that you can actually use the massive amount of data that will be accumulated?
So the port authorities, MPA, Port of Los Angeles, Port of Long Beach, have each created digital platforms. At the Port of Los Angeles, we've created the nation's first port community system, the Port Optimizer, and we're gathering data from across the supply chain to provide visibility. That tool is going to be critically important to expand and combine with Singapore's platform and Long Beach's platform to be able to monitor and report and verify the emissions that are and emission reductions that are coming by way of our efforts under the green and digital shipping corridor. And that's how you build trust, and how the lessons that are and best practices that are developed as part of this corridor begin to propagate to other corridors around the world.
Right, because there are many other ports as well that, both the United States and Singapore, there's a network of them as well. And some of them are much smaller as well. So getting them on board is going to be important. David, the study also finds that this corridor is going to create jobs. That's something that, every country, every jurisdiction wants to hear. At least 700, at least. Can you tell us something about the kinds of jobs that we're seeing that may be created?
Absolutely. Every port is an economic engine for its city, its region, its country. The Port of Los Angeles, the cargo that moves through our ports, creates 1 in 9 jobs in the Southern California region. And so what we're looking at specifically with this green and digital shipping corridor, we just completed a baseline study that shows we're going to be able to create 700 new jobs from this transition to near zero and zero emission fuels over time, once we're fully implemented.
Right. So there's plenty on board. Francois, I'm curious about the amount of collaboration that CMA actually does, because you work with shipping rivals as well. You work with other like-minded individuals, companies that want to also go net zero. What are the efforts like as far as sort of greening the maritime corridors in that regard, in terms of what is it like to work with your rivals and achieve key, the sort of similar outcomes?
In fact, this is the beauty of the green corridors and what they can bring. They can bring everyone together, key stakeholder together. So you mentioned the different liners. So we are here to talk together, and this is also what brings decarbonization, the opportunity to exchange and to work together toward a same goal. And so on top of the liner, we have also the customers. We have all the key stakeholders to go towards decarbonization. Yeah.
And it also has to be profitable. It also has to. That's the other part of the equation.
That's why the fuel suppliers, financing authorities are here, so we can harmonize on the regulation. We can harmonize on the standard, on the best practice. Also, try to find together new potential way of financing mechanism, and of course to leverage and scale up the fuel supply and have more sustainable costs.
Yeah. A quick final question for you, David. What do you anticipate maybe to be some of the kind of bugbears, the key challenges that there will be in going forward with sort of developing and fostering this corridor, for Singapore and the United States?
I think the big challenge is getting moving from the commitments we've made to identifying specific actions that'll gain traction, and partnership between the port authorities, the liner companies, and other industry stakeholders to bring the costs of bringing this fuel online and make it more cost effective for it to really propagate and expand to other corridors. And as you said earlier, move from corridors to networks where green shipping and the introduction of this cleaner fuel is possible.
Well, you're doing important work, and all the best in that regard. Thank you, both of you, for coming in to the studios to talk to me about this important issue. We have been speaking there to Francois Xavier Accard. He's from the international shipping company CMA CGM, and also to David Libatique from the Port of Los Angeles.